And now, ladies and gentlemen, we're back in business with a showdown between the Greenskins, who shall be led by the Warlord of 8 Peaks, Skarsnik. And today, my friends, we face off against the Tomb Kings, who shall be led by none other than King of the Dead, coming in hot with Ark in the Black. Now, as far as my build goes, I've actually been doing this quite a bit on both ladder as well as playing against my pals. This is actually an all-goblin build, and really, I started doing it as a bit of a joke, right? I bring all goblins, it's kind of a funny gag. But then I started to discover I was playing some really good opponents and I was winning a lot of games, and really going all goblins can, certainly catch people off guard with the width of the army. You're not seeing Savage Orc Biggins or other elite units that often can be focused down. In this case, you just have a ton of goblins and it can do some work, man. So front line here is going to be goblins, no surprise. And I think there's a couple of chevrons in these bad boys. I had a little bit of money left over, so yeah, they're chevron here. But the secondary line is going to be fanatics. So we have a to 8 peak loonies, which of course are the ROR fanatics, and we have 2 other units of fanatics as well. And I've had people bring like Tomb Guard against me, any number of troops, and using those fanatic ball and chains, man, you can just deck infantry. It does so much damage, and it is so good and tasty. Now in the back, I have some Goblin Archers as well. So we have Night Goblin Archers here, Rusty Arrows, and some basic or Night Goblin Archers here on the far side as well. And the reason why I decided to go Night Goblin Archers against King is because if he has a Casket or Screaming Skull Catapults, I didn't want to be losing my archers before the fighting started. So Night Goblin Archers, of course, as you guys know, do have the stock mechanic, so you can't really see these bad boys until they're right up in your face there, which is quite cool. So a couple of nasty Skulkers in the back in case he has any Cav, Nehekar Horsemen, Necropolis Knights, anything with high mass that's going to be pushing in. It's really nice to have that smoke bomb effect. They're just great units, honestly. So for our leadership kit, we do have the Giant River Troll Hag, and she is the only non-goblin in this army, but I feel like trolls and goblins kind of go in sync with one another, and she's great here. So Spirit Leech and also Soul Blight. So the reason why I brought Soul Blight is because it lowers armor and makes my goblin archers that much more effective. And honestly, using Buna against Tomb Kings, there's only a couple good targets. Yeah, if they go like Tomb Guard or if they go like Kepra Guard, Buna's going to be okay, but aside from that, honestly, it's not really worth it against anything else in the faction, whereas Spirit Leech is more or less guaranteed value, so I would definitely recommend getting that. So, yeah, the Hag, we got the Goblin Big Boss with They Need Stabbing. Skarsnik, of course, has always been very good against Tomb Kings, being able to rampage big targets. He's got anti-large, AP, and poison. This bad boy does some serious work. Now, this is an interesting tech piece. I know King of the Dead really likes to use Necropolis Knights, so I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go quad Goblin Rock Lobber and just throw a bunch of Haggard Rocks at those Necropolis Knights, but he did not bring them. But aside from that, decent at shooting like infantry, and, with 4 of them, they're dirt cheap. I really feel like they're quite a steal for sure. But yeah, we got 4 of those, which are going to be defended by Forest Goblin Spider Riders. So for King's build, let's take a look here. He's got the double Screaming Skull Catapult, so it's going to be the double Catapult versus the quad Rock Lobber, which should be quite a bit of fun. His front line is going to be Tomb Guard in the front. So triple Tomb Guard, Tomb Prince, Ark in the Black here with Spirit Leech Buna, probably expecting some Savage Orc Biggins or other things like that. And it looks like Doom and Darkness. And a Necrotect, of course. If you're going to be going for a big monster like a Necrosphinx, it's certainly not a bad idea. And yeah, his front line's pretty elite. I mean, his whole army is very elite. You can see it's very small in terms of numbers too. Well, I guess 730 isn't too bad. And Nehekar Horsemen are just great battlefield control units, and they certainly do the trick, man. But you can see here the big boy, the Necrosphinx, is probably here to kill stone trolls and to kill like bigger threats like that, maybe the Arachnarok Spider. But in this case, I mean, I just have a bunch of Haggard Goblins, so I don't know how effective it's going to be per se. Anyway, Screaming Skull Catapult's going in and dropping some fat bows here on the Goblins, but now you can see the quad Rock Lobbers are dropping some pretty devastating salvos of fire here into the Tomb Guard. I mean, taking out 10 Tomb Guard models is certainly not bad at all. And I'm losing a lot of Goblins, but they're Goblins. That's what they're for, man. I've almost lost 50 already, so poor little guys, but that's only the first line. Currently, King isn't able to see my secondary line of the Fanatics, which are all kind of shrouded and covered in the mists. Now here in the front, he's going to be charging in with Nehekar Warriors, and not much I can do about this. My poor little Goblins just have to take it. My Spider Riders are in the back, and I do have some nasty Skulkers coming up just in case he decides to say. I will have a Smoke Bomb to lock those guys in place. Now over here, we have a pretty important fight. You can see Spirit Leech going down, and Mither as well on the Necrosphinx. So I thought he was going to be committing to the fight. I probably blew my resources there a little bit early, but we charge in, and honestly, the Mither and Spirit Leech end up being worth it. We get some really big damage here on the Necrosphinx. It's taking Archer Fire, and Skarsnik is making his way in as well. On that same note, King does respond by dropping Skeletons on top of my Rusty Arrows, which is a very, very good play. But, we take like 30-40% HP off the Necrosphinx this early in the game. That's really nice. And now we can kind of turn around and go after the Tomb Prince. And we have a really nasty hero squad here. I mean, the Giant River Troll Hag hits pretty hard with good AP, but we have They Need Stabbing. We do also have Skarsnik as well, who's going to be really good against all of these different targets here. So at this point, falling back, I didn't want to start taking shots from the Necrosphinx at this point, so I'm trying to force him to overextend here. And you can see the Goblins, for the most part, are engaging on several fronts. The Archers are shooting where they can, but of course his summons have been able to shut me down temporarily. But Back to the important fighting. I did try and use fermented fungi on him, but I didn't get him below 80%. I thought I would connect and make... All I needed to do was get like one more solid hit, and I would have been able to rampage him. But a big misplay on my part, and a good escape from King of the Dead. Definitely very solid there. Now in the back line, things are about to get a little bit messy. You can see Nehekara horsemen are coming around here, but I do have spider riders and goblins who are free to kind of peel over there and intercept that. Here, unfortunately, some of my archers have been taken out by these horsemen, and I probably won't be able to save them. So, you know, wins and losses on various aspects of the battlefield, but now we've used the rock lobbers for another purpose, and they're actually not bad at this. We're using all 4 rock lobbers to shoot at the Necrosphinx. And, you know, it's decent AP, and you can see those ones do miss. Let's see if we can actually track some damage here. 2,800, and yeah, he's been moving a little bit, but I'm pretty sure I was shooting at the Necrosphinx with all of them. They're just swinging into missing. Okay, I think we made some contact and hit the Necrotech back there, but I have had success using rock lobbers against like big stationary monsters, but he's been sticking and moving them, so Smoke Bomb is active here from the Skulker. It's going to be locking down this whole formation, and now the Sphinx is in some big trouble being Spirit Leeched, also shanked by Skarsnik and Gobla. The Squig is hungry, man. It's a bit of a big bite here, but we'll see if Gobla can take it down, and it looks like he can. The mighty Squig celebrating by running in circles around Skarsnik. That was actually kind of cool, like a celebration mechanic, but if we take a look at the battlefield overall, you can see here we were able to clean up the Nehekara horsemen, and Ushabti Summon is going to be used in the back on top of my Hammer of Gork, which certainly isn't a bad idea, considering there's archers back there to feast on as well. But now we have a pretty good advantage here in the leadership fight. Arkan the Black is afflicted by Soul Blight, the Goblin's going after him, as is Skarsnik, and it looks like Arkan is going to be dropping another Skeleton Summon. And for those of you guys who don't know, the summon from Arkan the Black does have 150 skeletons, so actually 30 more skeletons than the regular summon, but you can see in the front line, like against Tomb Kings, you don't really need the best infantry. I didn't get a good chance to show you guys, but the Fanatics, not these ones, but the ones in the center and the far side were able to use the ball and chains to win their respective fights, or at least do very well for themselves, so I was quite happy about that. And now you can see the Leadership Goon Squad's going to be coming in, going after the Necrotech, who is the low-hanging fruit here. I kept trying to get on Arkan, but he was quite slippery on his horseback. So now the Lunch Lady going to be beaten with the giant sack of meat here, dropping a Spirit Leech as she does fall back. Because, you know, King still does have some good stopping power, right? He's got the Tomb Prince, he's got the Necrotech, he's got Arkan. And I got to be careful, though I am ahead on the bounce of power. If I were to lose an important leadership character, it could be a game, considering his catapults are still functional with some infantry back there, that could be a little bit dicey. So, and here you can see King Nikesh's Scorpion Legion are getting into the back line. Ushabti Summon was able to shut down my catapult, as well as some of my archers. But really, like I said, this is the important element of the battle. So, Spider to Bad Moon activated, but King does use the Curse of the Jaff from his Tomb Prince. And with that Rampage effect, he is able to pretty much get control over this battle here and break my my troll. So the Giant River Troll Hag is going to be moving away. Goblins are coming in from all sides. The mighty goblins with their shanks. One of the few spear units in the game that don't actually have anti-large. But you know what? They're proud folk, and they're running in. They're getting some solid shanks. And you can see it's going to be a tough situation for your boy Arkan here, as now the Rampage is off, and Skarsnik is back in business, boys. He's coming for blood, but the Tomb Prince getting some big damage on Skarsnik. Bounce of power still very heavily in my favor here. Archers are just raining in there, and now we use the Fermented Fungi on Arkan the Black. Now it is time for him to finally be shanked by the goblins. You can see a mist of tricksy traps going down. Skarsnik scheming all day, all night, baby. And it looks like we should be able to get Arkan here. Has he fallen off the horse? There's goblins flying everywhere, which of course is quite standard here. And down goes Arkan the Black. But, you know, I've been punished pretty bad by the artillery here. But at this point, I don't think there's too many chances here for the Tomb Kings to come back, considering the Necrotech and the other characters are in some big trouble. Skarsnik does get broken from Doom and Darkness, but not before he's able to finish off Arkan here. And, yeah, the Necrotech is probably going to get taken out by the big boss. Granted, I think there's still a Tomb Prince here. Let's take a look. Yeah, he already used his curse. He doesn't have any, like, fancy items or anything. And there you can see it's just going to be the Tomb Prince. And the Lunch Lady's coming back with her big old sack of meat. And, boy, she's got some grudges to settle. She drops a fat... Oh, no, that was not a Spirit Leech. It was a They Need Stabbing. And the big boss hunting him down. Greenskins definitely some very scary folk. So well played to King. The dreaded Mass Goblin build coming in, and it's very micro-intensive compared to regular Greenskins. Like, if you're playing just an Orc build with, like, Savage Orc Biggins, it's much more straightforward. But if you can, like, man, I feel like you can really surprise people with Mass Goblins. I've been doing it a lot, and it's not even like a meme. I'm, like, trying to do it because you can see King's build, right? The big Sphinx, that thing was designed to kill spiders and trolls. The catapult's designed to kill Savage Orc Biggins, both of which are super meta in this matchup, right? So occasionally by mixing up your builds and just using something wild like this, you can really catch your opponents off guard and certainly claim a solid victory. But yeah, as far as like things I would change, I don't know, I was pretty happy with their performance. I definitely like the Night Goblin archers. The extra poison doesn't hurt. And on top of that, the fact that they do have stock means that catapults and caskets, which are both very meta here, are, you know, not going to do too much damage. But yeah, I'm trying to think if King had gone with like a casket and a stationary build and sat back, I wonder if my four rock lobbers plus overcasted spirit leeches would be enough to win the artillery trade. I probably would have to advance on a defensive position, and I don't know how that would go. Considering he did pressure me, but usually, you know, Tomb Kings are going to be kind of moving in on you. But like, what if he had gone like casket, catapult with like a defensive box without the Necrosphinx? Like, I don't know how my build would have functioned there. I guess like trading my rock lobber DPS against his Tomb Guard is more effective than him killing goblins, like from a cost perspective. Like 2 rock lobbers on each Tomb Guard just until you wear them down. You're casting spirit leeches from a distance, and then I guess you close the distance once you soften them up. But maybe like a couple skirmishers would be necessary here. I don't even know what I'd cut though, is the thing. I guess you could cut like 1 Fanatic or something, and like 1, you know, nasty Skulker, and maybe get some Spider Rider Archers, maybe Morkham's Mangy Marauders, just something to give you some like ranged utility. It's hard to say. Anyways, well played to King. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this glorious Mass Goblin game, and we will see you next time, my friends. Take care.